people think Dubai is a place where it's easy, and I just don't agree. It's a business with a business mindset.
Spencer Lodge, voted one of the most influential people in Dubai. He is the founder of the Blue Sky Thinking Group, the voice of the globally acclaimed Made in Dubai podcast, a titan who built a 9-figure empire from 100 cold calls a day.
He is a master at sales strategy. I experienced clinical depression some years ago, and I was saved not by medication, but by children. They give me a reason, they give me a purpose, and they give me a mission. I care about something outside of myself, and I'm working towards helping that become something. When you do that, that's where impact lies, because making money is quite boring when you start to make it. Building something is awesome fun. It really is so much fun. I think it's better to consider turnover and net profits, but once you start to make the money, it can become a bit soulless. I learned how to deal with rejection because I was taught that rejection is critical for success. You can't have one without the other. So it's really important that you go and seek out the rejection, because on the other side of the rejection is the...
I think the first question everybody asks is, why Dubai? Why did you move here?
I moved from Amsterdam, planning to move to Geneva, and then the business that I was part of bought a company here, and somebody needed to go and build it. And so 21 years ago, that was me.
And I mean, looking back at where you started and where Dubai is today, is Dubai the New York of the future?
I think Dubai is the future of a future example to many cities of what could be if you organise properly and run and operate and execute properly. And I think that a lot of cities around the world have forgotten that. But again, Dubai didn't have any baggage. It started with a clean sheet of paper and was able to develop itself. I mean, I'm older than this country. It was only established in 1971, and I was born in 1970. So when you've got a clean sheet and you can design it and say, right, this is what we want to achieve in this year, this year, this year, this year, much easier to do it than if you've already got an infrastructure in place. And
I mean, when you look at Dubai, you sort of hear these stories of entrepreneurs that live flashy lives, and when you ask them, what are you building? It's sort of fluff underneath. So you have a very no-fluff approach. Let's talk about business. What are the businesses that you've seen that are thriving in Dubai, and what are some of your businesses?
I think all businesses can thrive in Dubai. I think that there is so much opportunity here that whatever you decide you want to go into, if you work really hard and execute, you can do that. But I think a lot of people think Dubai is a place where it's easier to do that. And I just don't agree. I believe you can be successful wherever you are. You know, you in Dubai, you in Hong Kong, you in London, it's still you. It's still your mindset, it's still your belief systems, it's still your work ethic, it's still your attitude. So to me, arguably, I'd say it's as easy anywhere. People are just thinking it's easier here because they're very negative about where they're from or where they were. And so they find every reason why things don't work. And the truth is, 95% of people will never be good entrepreneurs. And so it's only a small group of really weird and wacky, crazy people that ever make it as an entrepreneur anyway. And I'm just sure they would make it anywhere.
I mean, you've got quite a few businesses that you've started. Let's talk about some of those. In your group of companies, what is your favorite company and why?
The insurance businesses. So Benapol is an anagram of benefits and people, and we sell medical insurance here, and along with other types of insurance. But the medical insurance laws changed some years ago, and when they changed, I saw an opportunity. Every company has to provide medical insurance to their employees. I went, well, that's going to be law, and that has to be renewed every year. And I was like, hold on a minute here. If every company has to by law, and new companies are opening up all the time, surely there's a market for that. And we lent into that, and we started to build a business around providing medical insurance. And when I was young, I worked in the city in London, and you were either a stockbroker or an insurance broker. And a stockbroker had like a mobile phone and a filofax and was cool. And an insurance broker was kind of like boring with a leather folder with his stuff in. And it was like, who wants to be one of those? But I so wish I'd become an insurance broker when I was 18, because I think insurance broking is a really phenomenal industry.
And I mean, looking at the insurance industry, you've done quite well in your insurance business. A lot of people usually look at insurance as a banking co-opt or as a package deal that comes with a whole lot of other things. How's your approach been, especially in the UAE, now that it is law that one should provide that for the employees?
Well, all kinds of things can be insured. And I think around the world, people don't think what you suggest. People buy, you buy car insurance, you don't buy a car from a bank. You'll go and buy your car insurance and you'll have your brand names in South Africa as we do in the UK and here in the UAE. But there are so many different types of insurance that most people don't look for insurance. They have to be advised. So most people don't sit down, on Sunday afternoon on Google going, well, let's look into insurance. That'll be fun. But risk exists. If you get hit by a truck tomorrow, then where does it leave your family? If you own a business, and let's say you and I are business partners and I'm in a car crash tomorrow, my wife immediately becomes your business partner. Great. She may not know anything about the industry, but she wants half the company. And you may not want that. So where's the shareholder protection? What about the protection against being sued, professional indemnity? What about public liability? What about buildings insurance? At the end of the day, all insurance is the most expensive piece of paper you're ever going to buy that you hope you never use.
And when you do use it, I guess it does insure you. Really,
that's right.
Sure,
it delivers the result you need. Let's take the example of me and you being partners, 50-50. I die, the company's worth, let's say $10 million. Well, there should be an insurance policy that pays $5 million to my wife so that you get the shares back and then you can decide how you want to grow the business thereafter. That should be for everybody.
Brilliant.
But most people don't do it.
And let's talk about your company. How much is your company worth, estimated at the current moment?
The group of companies together, let's say approximately 80 to 100.
80 to 100 million pounds, dirhams,
dollars.
80 to 100 million dollars. Do you think Dubai is taking, or the UAE is taking insurance seriously? Because should that not number be much bigger, because the US and the UK insurance industries are huge?
Yeah, but this is a tiny country and Dubai is a tiny city. Even at its population of 4 million as it is today, that's still a fraction of London. The UK has 70 million people, the UAE has 10. The United States has 400 million people. So you've got to look at the market size itself.
So your 80 to 100 million US dollars is actually quite big in terms of the size of the place.
It's a reasonable sized business. We're happy with where we are and we're continuing to grow and we will continue to do that. And as this city develops and evolves, that will continue in our favour. And as long as we're doing a good job for our clients and our new clients, then we should get there.
Why would you be the host of one of the biggest podcasts in the UAE, if not the biggest, the Dubai podcast? What sort of broke that into?
I started a podcast by accident. I had a guy called Raj Gatecha that was helping me learn how to make content. And I wasn't very good at it, but I was making these videos. And he said, you need a podcast. And I was like, what's that? I don't even know what a podcast is. And he said, well, you're going to interview people and we're going to do this and it can be this, it can be that. And I was like, no, I'm not interested in that. And so he banged on for about a year. And eventually I kind of accepted that was what we were going to try. And I remember the first episode being made. It was in my spare bedroom with a table, with a desk, with a coffee table on top, with my laptop on top and a microphone. And we filmed this 20-minute piece to camera about me introducing the podcast. And then the first few episodes, I'd argue that for the first 100 episodes, I wasn't very good. I was just learning. But I met amazing people. And some of those people became my friends. Some of those people I was able to serve. Some were able to serve me. And I found that I had a knack of being able to extract out of people the real stories behind whatever their scenario was. And that's what I was looking for, the truth. And a lot of people, if they're media trained, will give you some stock answers to stuff. And if they're not, they'll revert to talk about work. But I don't really care about insurance and finance and whatever it is you sell or your business does. I care about the human being behind it. What motivates you? How do you get out of bed every day? Why are you excited by it? What pain or trauma have you been through that led to that success within your business? And what difference are you planning to make to the world on the rest of your journey? And if you're not, why not?
I've seen your podcast and I looked at your numbers and I thought the numbers are not as extravagant or as big as you'd want them to be, because your podcast is very raw and honest. The questions you ask are questions that a few people ask themselves. A lot of people won't want to ask those questions because they trigger them. The questions you ask are very internal matrix of honest human life.
Well, our podcast is 80% listened to. So people don't watch our podcast, they listen to it. And we know that 37 minutes is the average listen time of a podcast. And so I want that 30 minutes on the way to work and then the 30 minutes on the way home from work that people can finish listening to that 1 hour episode. I've hardly ever watched anyone's podcasts.
You always listen to...
And when I talk to most people, we listen. We walk the dog, we wash the car, we go to the gym, we're driving to a meeting, whatever it may be, that's the place that we listen. I think with the fast pace of Dubai, people don't have time to sit around watching stuff. I think people are listening because they can do other things at the same time.
And in terms of your podcast journey, have you found that this is a profitable niche? What have you found? Are you doing this as a passion project?
I think everybody starts it as a passion project, but we turned it into profit. So as it's a business that stands on its own now. It's probably the best business development tool that's ever existed. People don't know that. A lot of podcasters that are out there don't know what they're doing because they don't understand the why, but also the goal. And people need to be clear of that. And that's where I think the challenge lies for a lot of people.
We look at Mr. Beast, who started a YouTube channel, and today we're hearing that he's buying a bank, and we're hearing that he's got Feastables as a chocolate brand, and we're hearing that he's a billionaire in US dollars. And a lot of people have came back to ask and say, hold on, little videos made this guy a billionaire? In your understanding, what are people missing out? What's the CEO who's worth $100 million missing out? Why does he not see that podcasting is what you've seen?
Well, I think that there's two aspects to that. Number one, I believe that every company should have their own podcast for their staff, so that their staff can understand what's going on in the business, highlight individual employees. And I think every company should have that. You know, years ago when I was a kid, I'd go in Oxford Street in London, and some of the big kind of like stores would have music and almost like a radio station playing inside the store. And I just thought that was the radio. But it wasn't. It was the store's radio that they created. And I thought, how cool is that?
Had jingles and specials and reminders.
And you look at companies and it's like they're spending their time trying to, sending an email out or having a kind of like some form of meetings for their employees. It's like, why can't we once a week talk about 10 minutes about what's going on in the company, okay, and 30 minutes interviewing John, the lorry driver, okay, or Alan, the guy that works in accounts, you know, or Bill, the guy that's raising money for his mum that's got cancer. Why can't we have these real human stories? And so you could make people connect better, because at the end of the day, what is a podcast? What is a business? It's just people, okay? You and I are sat here, okay, we've got some equipment, but we're sat here. If we were in an office running a business, we're just people. And so bring people together, connect humans more. And the podcast can do that internally. Now, then you take the CEO, what does he miss? A lot of CEOs don't understand media. That's okay. They don't all have to understand it. Some of them are very happy having their own life, doing the thing they do, living in the world they live in. And if they're successful, then who's to judge that? But people that are growing, entrepreneurs, wantrepreneurs as I call them, you know, people that are on this beginning of the journey, are forgetting to understand that people are staring at their phones. If people are staring at their phones and they've got their headphones in, when the TV's on, they're staring at their phones. When they're in the car driving, they're staring at their phones. When everyone's staring at their phones, go into a shopping centre, you'll bump into someone that's not even looking up. So for me, it's like you need to be where the eyes are in many different formats, not just buy my product, but telling the story about who you are and what you do and why you do it and the difference that you make and the challenges you face. There's young people out there that need to be inspired. Okay, you know, I came in this building today and one of your colleagues was like, yeah, it's really hard to find opportunities and jobs in South Africa. And I'm like, you're not trying hard enough. That was what's going on in my head, okay? Because we want to blame, you know, we want to find a reason why it's not working for us. So we need to inspire young people to realize that you, with your grit, with your determination and your hard work, can be successful. It doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter that it's Dubai or Abu Dhabi or Johannesburg. There's loads of millionaires in Johannesburg. There's loads of millionaires in Cape Town. There's loads of successful businesses in Abu Dhabi. There's loads of successful businesses in Paris, in Lagos, in Port Harcourt, in Cairo, in Accra, in Abidjan. You know, they're all over the place. There are successful people.
From the perspective of the Nigerian, and I want to frame this properly, you speak to a Nigerian young person and you say, be successful in Nigeria. And the Nigerian young person will say, we don't have a credit system that works. And we say, what do you mean? And he says, whether I get a salary, when I go to the bank, they'll say, sorry, who's your dad? And he says, well, we don't have a road that works. So even if I want to deliver products, I can't. And he says, well, there's the policeman who's trying to chase me up because he heard I've got some money and everything I do as a business person is. So I do believe what you're saying is inherently true, but there are some environments like the UK now that foster growth, that stop people from being able to dream. There's tax systems, political systems. I mean, think about the Tom Cruise leaving the UK now. He's saying, guys, just outside my home, there's been a robbery. They stole a couple of watches. I've got lots of watches in my home. They're coming for me next. I've got to get out. So I do believe what you're saying, but I think there is the location.
Okay, well, let's break that down. Deal with Tom Cruise, first of all. You don't know he said that.
Oh, but I do know he's
You
living in
don't.
the UK.
You read the news, okay? And the news literally is sensationalizing a lot of stuff, and in different news channels are biased in different... Hold on, let me finish. You don't know that, okay? If Tom Cruise comes online, okay, and he does an interview and he says, you know what, I'm leaving the UK because it's too dangerous, that's fine. So we don't know that. We have heard the news and the news is saying that. So let's be very careful of that. Secondly, I lived in Nigeria. So my father was born in Nigeria. My grandparents were missionaries in Nigeria. So this whole Night Africa thing from Africans really pisses me off, okay? Because you're making excuses. Nigeria is one of the fastest growing countries in the world, okay? Of course there are challenges. And everyone that made it in Nigeria faced challenges. I made a documentary on human trafficking. And in that documentary, I went to the south of Spain. And I was in a refugee camp in the south of Spain in a place called Almeria. And I met a Nigerian man, a young Nigerian man. And in this refugee camp, he'd built his own little room with his tarpaulin cover on so that he could stay there. He'd also built 2 other rooms. And I'm like, who are those rooms for? He said, well, there's going to be other people that need somewhere to sleep. And I just thought, while I was making my one, I better make some for some other people as well. I was like, wow, that's such a cool thing to do. Respect. Tell me how you got here. My parents' house burnt down in Nigeria and I lost my parents. I decided it was time to leave and go and find my opportunities. So I hitchhiked all the way to Morocco and I got on a boat and I went across to Gibraltar and I got to this place, Almeria, which is the tomato capital of Spain. And they need workers, really need workers. But the Spanish government wouldn't allow them to work. So they were kind of caught in no man's land where they wanted to work, they wanted to pay taxes, but they couldn't. Which was a really desperate situation, you know, because the guy's like, I just want to give me a job, man. I want to work. I'll pay tax. I don't care. I want to move on. I want to move forward. And I really respected that story. That was a man that lost his family, got in a car, got in another car, got in the back of a truck, worked his way across Africa. And the whole story, I could take an hour telling it. It's amazing, okay? But he eventually got to Spain. That guy's going to make it. No matter what in life, that guy is going to make it.
In Spain,
there is nothing that's going to stop him. Okay, but that was his journey. There are people that make it in Nigeria. There are people that make it in South Africa. There are people that make it in Zimbabwe. They're all over Africa, people are making it. There is so much opportunity there. Now, of course, we can say, oh, it's not fair. These challenges I've got, it's not easy for me. Of course, nothing worth having is easy. It's going to be painful. It's going to be difficult. And you're going to face lots of brick walls in front of you. Okay, welcome to the real world. Most people fail because they want to hold something else responsible for the reason they can't be somebody. And I don't buy that. I've lived in 10 countries. I've lived in third world countries, first world countries, second world countries, Eastern Europe, Southeast Asia, South America, West Africa, South Africa. I've been all over. And everything, we are more alike than we are different. And opportunities exist everywhere. Every time I go to a new country, I'm like, oh, why hasn't anyone seen that? Okay, so why am I seeing that? Okay, you could say, well, maybe you've got an entrepreneurial brain. Okay, where did it come from? I didn't go to university. I don't have a degree. I came out of school with nothing. Okay, my dad said to me, nothing's going to happen to you. You didn't get any qualifications. I had to go in and I had to learn and apply myself and work really hard. I've never had a salary in my life. I've always been on commission. I only get paid what I deliver. I don't get paid a penny if I don't deliver. Even in my businesses now, I get paid nothing unless I deliver. Well, I learned how to do that. And I've lived in these different countries and I've made that work. And okay, you could say, you came from the UK, it was easier for you. Tell that narrative to yourself over and over and over again. Okay? And then you'll believe it. And when you believe it, you can't be told otherwise.
I want to sort of zoom into your grandparents. What were they doing in Nigeria and why did they go to Nigeria?
My grandparents were doctors and missionaries after the Second World War. My grandparents moved there in 1940. My dad was born there in 1945 in a small town called Warri in River State.
In Nigeria. I know Warri, yeah. What church were they?
They were Seventh-day Adventists.
Okay.
And my grandfather then became a preacher, but my dad was born there. He lived there till he was 10. My dad was born in the bush. My aunties, his two sisters, one in Kano, one in Port Harcourt. So we have family history there. When my parents divorced when I was 7 years old, my father went to work in Nigeria in the oil industry. I went with my father, spent many years
You're
there.
Nigerian. I mean, you were...
No wahala for me. So I'm more Nigerian than most Nigerians in England anyway.
Yeah,
but I understand the country, and I understand that there are challenges. Just like when I lived in Egypt, there were challenges. Just like when I lived in Slovakia, there were challenges. Just like when I lived in Brazil, there were challenges. So, it's perspective. I'll give you a good example of that. I lived in Nigeria, and then I was going to live in Brazil, and people said, be really careful when you go to Brazil. It's really dangerous. And I'm like, nowhere's dangerous after Nigeria. And so it's about perspective, isn't it? So I get to Brazil and I've got people going, oh, it's a bit scary here. And I'm like, no, it's not. This is easy. This is a walk in the park.
You've been to our...
You want to go to Lagos.
Wow, I think I respect that so much more because, to hear the opinion of somebody who's actually been there makes it all the difference. And I think I respect that a lot. But I want to sort of dig into what makes young people successful, because you've hit a very hard point there to say a lot of young people are focusing on the narrative of things are bad, things are not working, and they sort of dwell into it. And I think to hear from someone who didn't come from a royal family with billions in the bank account, who built it from the ground up, what is it that they're lacking? What are young people lacking? Is it a complaining culture? Is it...
The truth is, the people of my generation will complain about your kids. And the truth is, we created the problem. The problem that I lived with, my parents created. The problems my parents lived with, my grandparents created. We create the problem. So how old are you?
32.
Okay, I'm 55. So I create the problem of you and your colleagues here, okay? And that is because the people of my generation developed and invented the technology that enables you to stare at your phone all day, okay? That technology is then further evolved, and now you've learnt that everything can be fast. So whether that's ordering something on an app on your phone to be delivered to this apartment, okay, so that you can have food like that, or groceries like that, or medicine like that, okay, that's all very fast. But there's three things that young people want, okay, and they want it now, okay, and it hasn't changed, okay, it's just been highlighted. So everybody wants to get rich quick. That's a fact. Everybody wants to get rich quick. Now, I grew up in a generation where that wasn't possible. My parents grew up in a generation where that wasn't possible. Neither did my grandparents. So what was it that was created to make people want that? Young people, let's talk NFTs. Okay, get rich quick, NFTs. Buy a digital ape, whatever it is, a bored ape. Okay, I'm going to make some money. Cryptocurrency. Okay, get rich quick. People have been able to see that it's been possible. 99.999% it's not possible for, but people see it's possible. And it's the same as if somebody does 99 things right and one thing wrong. What do you focus on? We all do this in our relationships. It's the same for young people. They see one person making Mr. Beast, okay, making a fortune. They want a shortcut to 1 billion followers. There is no shortcut. There's no shortcut to getting rich. Okay, it requires a strategy that you deploy and you work hard at over and over and over again. Ask every single billionaire, every single multimillionaire. Nobody walked in on it. Okay, every one of them. Find a trust fund kid and you'll find a tortured soul. Okay, you will. So find someone that's gone out and made money for themselves. It hasn't been overnight and it hasn't been easy. They've been through pain and hurt and sacrifice and late nights and suffer. Okay, it makes. But young people don't want to do that because they're being sold a narrative that you can get it easy. Just like the drugs that have just come out about losing weight. Now you can lose weight like that.
Instantly, yeah.
They put this injection in your belly. Okay, guess what? In 6 weeks' time, you've lost 10 kilos. Well, don't have that injection and lose 10 kilos. That's really hard, you know. That sacrifice and grind and gym and not eating what you want to eat, you know, preparing meals and weighing them and making sure you count the calories and all of that kind of stuff. It takes time, effort and energy, and it's slow, the progress. Everybody wants 1 million followers. Okay, you want to do it quick, okay, and there's lots of shortcuts people look at to try and do it quickly. But you know, you've built an audience. I've built an audience for 6, 7, 8 years now. Okay, it doesn't happen overnight. You can go and buy 1 million followers, but it's not worth the time of doing it. Yeah. Okay, so you've got to earn the respect. You've got to get people to trust you. You've got to get people to buy into your narrative, your story. You've got to give them something. Okay, you've got to share your knowledge forward so that people go, that resonates with me. You've got to find your audience. You know, when I said to you, who's your audience earlier, you went 40 to 60. Well, I walked in here never expecting to hear that. But I bet when you started, you weren't expecting that either.
Definitely.
So all of these things that are really important to understand for young people are that listen to your parents, because they've been through exactly the same age as you went through. They had their challenges and they're wise. You're not wise. Okay, you have no life experience, but you think you're smart. Okay, you want all the shortcuts because you're not prepared to put the work in, and then you still want to make it and become successful. It doesn't happen. You are going to have to interview hundreds of people until you become Joe Rogan. And that's the way it is. And so young people need to learn that. And this is getting tough for us. We want to take on interns, bring interns into the business. Let's teach them our business. Okay, they've got attitudes. I don't want people with attitudes. I want people that are grateful for the opportunity, want to come in and learn. I worked 18-hour days. You want to be successful? It's not a 9-to-5 life. You can't have the weekends off. You can't go and play paddle or basketball or football with your mates of an evening because you've got to grind. Don't want the grind? Okay, then get a mediocre life.
I mean, with that reality, young people are also saying, well, how do we sort of get to enjoy our lives? I think there's a big narrative of they want this separation between work and life.
Why are you delusional? If you're a young person, I want a balance. A balance of what? There is not a single rich, successful businessman on the planet that had that option ever. No one that made a fortune, built a successful company, sat and went, I need a bit of work-life balance. That didn't exist. They had to give shit up. And you got to make sacrifices. What do you want? You want to play basketball 3 nights a week? Great. You want to spend time with your wife and kids or your boyfriend or your girlfriend because you want some me time? Okay, good luck. That time that you do that means you're not working on what you need to work on to become successful. It's not possible. We've only got 24 hours in the day. We probably need to sleep for 5 or 6 of them. Okay, now we're down to 19, 18 hours a day. Oh, you want to go? Oh, you want to go and do a bit of kayaking with your girlfriend, do you? Because that's nice. And you want to go to the club, do you? Because you need to go to the club, don't you? Were you mad? Ooh. It's like, get a life, get a grip. You can't have both. Go and get a job, get a 9-to-5 job, and have that. But if you want to be successful, you suffer. Okay, I wouldn't advise anybody that's not prepared to really suffer, okay, to even begin to be an entrepreneur.
And I mean, when you talk about this suffering, a lot of people would say it sounds like it's not a good life. Because I guess young people say, well, I want the Philippe, I want the holiday in Cannes, I want, but then they say, oh, I don't want to suffer for it, I want to do something else for it. And what I mean by that is, what's that path looking like for them? Is it that they must hit hard on one industry, one job, and sort of climb their way through? Or is it that they must just learn different skills? And how do they build that life?
Well, first of all, if you want to be successful, my first piece of advice is don't start a company. My first piece of advice is go and work for somebody that has, and watch. You know, when my daughters left university, I said to them, go and find the person you want to work for. I'll pay your salary. Go and work for that person for free for 6 months. Offer your services for free and say, after 6 months, if I've done a good job and you want to offer me something full time, then great. If you don't, no hard feelings. Okay? Go and learn from someone that's done it. Everyone's trying to think of the next big, quick, fast thing. It's all the same. Every successful entrepreneur has been through the same thing. It's lonely, it's dark, it's sad, it's miserable, and all that kind of stuff. So, first of all, don't become an entrepreneur. Go and work for somebody that is. Go and learn the skills you need to learn. It might make you go, that's not for me, which is fine. If you were number 2, 3, 4, or 5 in Facebook, you'd have done all right. You know, if you were number 10, 11, 12, 15, 20 in Google, you'd be laughing. Okay. Dell, Microsoft, you'd be doing very well.
You would have retired.
You know, you don't have to be the person that starts the next new thing or your own business.
Profound,
you just don't need to. You know, everyone's trying to find you know, what's the next pot of gold at the end of the rainbow? Well, you've got to get wet, mate. It's got to rain. Then you might find a rainbow, which you can find the pot of gold out. But if there's no rain, because there's no pain, okay, that's not going to happen. So for me, every young person, go and work and get experience. Because remember, in the beginning of your journey, you leave let's say you go to university, you're lucky enough, yeah? and you go and do your first job.
Of which you didn't. Which
No, I didn't. Let's say you got that great education and, you know, mum and dad helped you or you paid for it yourself. You go to your first job. What value are you to that company? You are worth nothing. You have no experience. Oh, you've got a degree. Nice. Okay, good. 3 days a week at university, getting drunk the rest of the time. You've got a piece of paper that says you've got a qualification in sociology, and now you're, now you're trying to become a petrochemical engineer or an auditor or an accountant or whatever it may be. You're worth nothing. Like nothing. If you didn't go to university and you got 3 years work experience in a competitor of my company, then you're worth something to me. But leaving university, you don't. So at the beginning, I'm going to pay you in experience, not money. And this is the delusion that graduates have. They leave thinking they're worth something. You're worth nothing. And how fast that payment in experience becomes a payment in cash is down to how quickly you apply yourself and become valuable to the company. So if you take a graph, that graph has a line, all experience, little money, okay? And then the money grows as you become more experienced and you don't need to learn more from the company and you apply that experience to bring value to a business. So understand that when you go into a business, you're not worth anything. So get rid of your ego and get ready to grind, okay? And prove to those employers you work for that you were a good decision for them. If you do, then you've got a chance of getting somewhere.
Because being number 2 at Google, you're still the billionaire.
Hey, man.
Sure.
I'd have taken that. You mean I'll have number 20 at Google? 200 probably still laughing.
I mean, the profound thing that I read was when Google incorporated and the way that they built their structure, anybody who passed on, who was in the top 50, their wife and kids were taken care of for the rest of their lives. They literally have a fund that pays them out for the rest of their lives. And I've always thought about that to say, whoever built Google, you're okay, you've done enough. And if you look at the top 10 of Google, they're all skiing or doing whatever else that they're doing. And there's no need for them to be doing this. And we're all on YouTube generating because they actually did the right thing. That's so profound. Let's talk about mentality, because I think a lot of young people struggle with the mentality to say, I'll start, it gets difficult, I give up. And for yourself, I sort of want to talk about when you almost gave up, and it was just the mentality that kept you going, and then the pot of gold was there. Because I think a lot of young people do what you're saying, and they say, it's been a year, I've been trying to sell property or real estate in Dubai, and I haven't sold anything, and it's sort of like, I'm just going to go to the club and just get drunk and just, end it all. What is that mentality that is needed to just keep going?
So I was taught this as an 18-year-old. So I was taught how to deal with rejection. And a lot of people aren't taught how to deal with rejection. And rejection is just someone saying no. It's not personal. They're just saying no. And it's like a lot of the problem is, how arrogant are we to think that everyone should say yes? How arrogant are we to think everyone should like us? I mean, what a ridiculous concept. You've got people that you went to school or university with, or your first company you worked at, that think you're an arsehole. But you've also got people that think you're amazing. And you inspire them, and you know what a good guy, and you're kind and you're generous. And you've also got people that can't even remember who you are. They don't even know your name. They go, who? What? What is it? Okay. And some people just think you're all right because that's normal. So let's then transfer that theory across to business and success. I learned how to deal with rejection because I was taught that rejection is critical for success. You can't have one without the other. So it's really important that you go and seek out the rejection, because on the other side of the rejection is the acceptance, is the yes. So my boss taught me to make cold calls. 100 cold calls every afternoon, 100 cold calls. And the first week he said, I don't want you to get anyone to say yes. Just get me 100 people to say no. So at the end of the day, I went and told him, and he's like, good man, gave me a high five. And I went home, I got home, I said to my mum at the dinner table, that's a bit weird. Anyway, next day went in again, gave me a high five, third day gave me a hug, fourth day gave me a hug. And then the following Monday, he said to me, do me a favor, this week, today, get me 99 people to say no. And then get me one person to say yes, because that's your goal for the week. I was like, okay. So dutifully applied, went and did it, got 99. So 1 in 100 had said yes. He's like, there we go, we're on the run. Now you've got to get 98 people to say no. That was the third week. Well, 98 saying no and 2 saying yes wasn't 100 to 1. It was now 1 in 50. And that progressed over 3 months. until we got to 9 people saying no and 1 person saying yes. Yeah. But that was still 90% saying no. But for me, I'm winning.
Of course.
Because 100 people, 10 say yes, 90 say no. That's a wicked result. I'm like bagging it, man. I'm so happy. I'm like, yes, yes. Okay. But I've still got the majority of people saying no, overwhelmingly. So when then I go into business, take that philosophy with you. If you want to be successful, you've got to accept that 90% of people are going to say no. And you have to keep going forward. Even if you're good at it and you're successful at it, only 10% will say yes. Look at Roger Federer, look at Rihanna, okay? Rihanna, I think she released 65 songs and had 12 number ones. What's that, 20%? 20% of her songs were hits, the rest weren't. Look at it all, it's all about how you cope with rejection. So when you're trying to sell real estate, ask yourself a question. Number 1, are you working hard enough? Number 2, are you learning as much as you need to learn? Okay. And number 3, okay, are you tolerating the pain that you know is coming your way anyway? And if you are, then you succeed. And if you're not, then you fail. And you go to the club and get drunk because you know what? It's easy, isn't it? That's not painful. Walking in the club, have a shower, walk to the club, have a drink, get drunk. That's easy. It's hard to be successful. It's hard for young people to make it. When I first learned to sell financial services, I was in the Far East. I was 23, and my boss said to me, do you think a 50-year-old person is going to give you their life savings? You know nothing. And I was like, well, yeah, I know things. He's like, tell me what you know about the stock market. And I was like, nothing. He's like, so tell me what you know about futures, options, warrants, swaps. Tell me about what you know about commodities. Tell me the difference between hard and soft commodities. Tell me the difference between a small cap and a large cap. Tell me the difference between an IPO. Tell me the difference between a PLC and a private company. Okay, tell me that. Tell me what the tax regime is in England versus Hong Kong. And I was like, blah, 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 blah. It's like, so why would you expect at your age someone to trust you? No life experience, no work knowledge. You've got to remember, at 23, you're not going to have the life experience. So it means you're going to have to know everything that there is to know about financial services. So learn it. And he gave me 9 books. He said, I don't want to see you in the office again until you've read those books and you can tell me what those books are all about. And I went back to my shitty hotel room when I first moved overseas, sat on the end of my bed, and I read these books that meant nothing to me. This language of finance I didn't understand. But I had to read it, and then I had to summarize it. And I took them back into him 2 weeks later, and he said, great job, well done. And he gave me another 9 books. He said, now go and read those. I had to learn, and I was learning the hard way. But I had to learn. And that was before we had the internet, before we had podcasts, before any of that. Now, okay, there's this wonderful website you can go to, YOUTUBE, type in, teach me about X. I want to learn Y. You can take ChatGPT now and you can role play with ChatGPT your own coach. If you're not making it today when it's as easy as it is today, then you don't want it bad enough. And if you don't want it bad enough, that's okay. But don't complain.
I mean, hearing your story, you're at the point in your life where you've built many businesses and you've done very well. One would think that, why are you still doing this? What else is there to do? What is that all about? Why do you still wake up in the morning and build?
There are very few people in life that can stop and go and play golf. All of us, whatever our age is, the most important things we need is mission and purpose. Without mission and purpose, who are we? Literally, who are we? There must be a purpose for why we do what we do, and we must be on a mission to achieve something. Now, what I've learned is when you're on a mission to achieve financial security for yourself, you'll realize very quickly that you don't need as much as you thought you need. Yes, when you're young, you want to drive really fancy cars and you want to have really fancy watches and all that kind of stuff. But when you get older, they become so insignificant that at the age of 55, I feel sorry for people that need to do that. But I'm never going to change them, so I might as well wind my neck in and let people be. But what I know is that the most powerful thing that you can do as a human being is be in service of others. So I'll give you some examples. Number one, if the law of the land was that everybody on the planet, once a day, by law, had to be kind to another person, consciously kind, I think that a lot of the problems in the world would stop really quickly. I think that if every month, by law, we had to donate half a day of our time to work in service of others, that can be at a soup kitchen, that can be working at an animal shelter, that can be working with children with disabilities, whatever it may be. But to work in service of others, I think it would deal with many issues around depression and anxiety that people have. Because when you work in service of others, your mission, okay, is no longer about you. So I experienced clinical depression some years ago, and I was saved not by medication, but by children. And those children had been through the most awful upbringing in Dhaka, in the slums. And those children that I work with, I was given the opportunity to spend time with and help support and contribute to. People would say, Spencer, you're so kind. It's so wonderful what you do. And I would say, you have no idea, because I'm the winner, not them. What they give me is 10 times more than I give them. They have saved me. And being in service of those kids 7, 8 years ago, I'm still in service of those kids to this very day. They give me a reason. They give me a purpose, and they give me a mission. I care about something outside of myself, and I'm working towards helping that become something. When you do that, that's where impact lies. So let's give a business example to that. There's a shoe company called Tom's. They used to sell these espadrille type shoes, and for every pair of shoes you bought, they donated a pair of shoes to children that didn't have shoes in South America, in Africa, in Southeast Asia. Let me just think about that for a second. You make a pair of shoes, you donate a pair of shoes. Big deal. Most people can't even remember what the shoes looked like. Most people can't even remember what they felt like, but they all remember why they bought them. That's impact. Because they bought them because they knew a pair of shoes was going to go onto a kid's feet. They're not buying them because they're shoes. They're buying them because of the impact of the story. So when we talk about impact, I want to be impact-led. Because believe it or not, the more you work in service of others, the more you decide to help, the more you decide to give. This is not karma. The more that comes your way. So I'll give you a real life example. Okay? So, you are looking to buy medical insurance for your company. Okay? Your budget is, I don't know, $1 million, let's say. And you're talking to me, and you're talking to somebody else, another insurance broker. The other insurance broker is a good guy. The products are the same. The pricing is the same. So you've got to make a choice. Which one of us you like the most, or get on with the most, or believe the most? I am going to tell you that 20% of whatever money we make from you, we are going to use that money to contribute towards building a school in Nepal, where children in a village, when they're 8 years old, are forced into prostitution. And that school is going to take those kids out of that village, and it's going to give them hope and a future. And that school that's going to be built is going to be built in your name too. Or you can buy from the other guy who wants to buy a Rolex. What would you choose?
Of course, the school.
Absolutely. Why? Because it's the right thing to do. Yeah? So that's the power of impact. When you're buying something from somebody and they just want to make money and make profit and buy a nicer car or buy a nicer house, have more share value in their company, that's all well and good. But if I can get you focused on the mission, do you think you'd tell other people about it too?
Of course.
If I fly you to Nepal to come and meet these children that are 8 years old and are forced into prostitution and show you the great work that's being done that you're contributing towards, do you think you'd become more connected to it? That's impact. And that impact is what I believe is the most important thing. Because People want to support people that are doing the right thing. And that, for me, is where we all have to be to try and make a difference. Whether we're in Africa, whether you're in other Middle Eastern countries, there's extreme poverty. Okay, there is countries where people are abused, whether that be Somalia, whether that be Sudan, whether that be Palestine. There are atrocities taking place. Those things that take place, the poverty that exists in Nigeria, all of this, there are people that need help. Now, just going to give money to people isn't solving a problem. But if we can use that money to teach people, to home homeless people, if we can do it to help solve problems and have positive impact, what about that is bad? And that's always, always, always better than a company just making money for the sake of making money.
I mean, one even stops asking questions and really just thinks about this. But I want to understand this more, because I can tell the way you're describing it that this is something that you've done. Can you tell us about that? What has your company done?
So I met a lady 7 or 8 years ago called Maria Conceição. And Maria, a Portuguese lady, was born and into poverty. Her mother left when she was 2 years old, and she was brought up by a refugee in Portugal from Mozambique, Maria Cristina. And Maria went to school, and then she went and got a job. She was only young, and she got a job as a cleaner. And she said, if I'm going to be a cleaner, I'm going to be the Ronaldo of cleaners. And then she got a job to learn another language. She got a job as a cleaner in Switzerland. And while she was in Switzerland, she was learning another language. She was a cleaner. She was hit by a car at a zebra crossing. Switzerland is not part of the EU, and she shouldn't have been working there officially. So in the hospital, they said, you can stay until you're better, but you have to leave the country. She left and she went to the UK as a housekeeper. So she'd been learning languages, trying to improve herself. And she saw this billboard in London, and it was Emirates cabin crew, apply here. And so she applied for a job as cabin crew, and she got it, much to her surprise. On one of her early flights, she flew to Bangladesh, and she had a 2-day layover, and she walked around the slums, and she saw how the kids were living. And she said, I'm going to help a family. So she promised one family she would help them. She flew back here, sold possessions, flew back to Dakar, and helped a family. But that wasn't enough. She wanted to help more. So she Googled, how do I raise money for charity? And what came up on Google was, why don't you climb to the summit of Mount Everest? Now, this is a lady that's never even been in a gym. For her,
and she's been hit by a bus.
Summiting Mount Everest meant she could help these children. She became the first Portuguese woman to climb Mount Everest. Maria didn't climb any of the other mountains before. Everest usually is the last mountain.
Mm-hmm.
She climbed it first, because in her mind, it was an obstacle to helping these children. She then went to the North Pole, then to the South Pole. Then she did Ironmans back to back. Then she did 7 marathons in 7 continents. She now holds 10 Guinness World Records. 682 children have been brought here from Bangladesh. Some of them have gone on to universities in America, Portugal, and there's actually one right now, Chadney, who's at the University of Greenwich in the UK, on full scholarship studying biomedical science. Maria's purpose blew me away. And that's when I started to get involved, because what I saw, the suffering, I knew I had to do something about. And so for the last 7 years after, I remember meeting the girls for the first time. I met 12 of the girls in the Mall of the Emirates. And they came up and introduced themselves to me. And I said, do you want to go get some ice cream, kids? And Maria looked at me. She says, they've never had ice cream, so maybe we don't give them ice cream. And I'm like, what do you mean they've never had ice cream? She said, they've never had ice cream. So we took them to the fun fair, which they'd never seen before, and they had a wonderful time in the fun fair. We then went to Carrefour. We took 4 trolleys, and I said, let's get the kids what they need. What do they need? And she said, they need everything. I'm like, what do you mean everything? She said, well, the only things they have are the clothes on their back. They have nothing else. And we spent 2.5 to 3 hours in this most profound experience of my life, telling the children, get yourself some pajamas. And they're looking at me as if to say, what? And they're like, what, a pair of pajamas each? And I'm like, yes. What, to keep? And I'm like, Yes. And sneakers and flip-flops and feminine hygiene products and whatever they needed. And we filled up these trolleys. And these kids, it was just bewilderment and wonder and magic. We getting this stuff? We get our own pair of shoes. Our own pair of shoes. They've never had their own pair of shoes. They never had shoes. And now these kids are getting this. And in that moment, while I was there with them in that shopping centre that day, I knew I had to commit my life to help these kids. The work that I do is to try and make sure that these children can have a better life. You sent me a message about enjoying the 10K that I ran this morning. I ran with the girls. We ran together. So we did the run together because as much time as I spend with them, every time I'm with them, it's like an injection goes in my arm, okay, of positivity. So whenever I leave them, I feel better about myself. And so that work which then led to a documentary that we made about human trafficking. And that documentary tells the story of Maria and the girls, but also a lady called Hannah Badi in Nepal. And Hannah was born into a village where at 8 years old, every child becomes a prostitute. And I went to that village and I saw what was going on. And Hannah ran away. And Kathmandu from the village is about a 2.5-hour flight. So you can imagine how far it is by foot. She got to Kathmandu and she was helped by a Catholic priest. That Catholic priest promised to help her. And here we are, 14 years later. She built a school in Kathmandu. She built accommodation for the children, and she saved over 700 of the children from the village. And now they have a future. I support that. I support that because it selfishly makes me feel good because I'm doing something positive. And so that work which then led to a documentary that we made about human trafficking. And that documentary tells the story of Maria and the girls, but also a lady called Hannah Badi in Nepal. And Hannah was born into a village where at 8 years old, every child becomes a prostitute. And I went to that village and I saw what was going on. And Hannah ran away. And Kathmandu from the village is about a 2.5-hour flight. So you can imagine how far it is by foot. She got to Kathmandu and she was helped by a Catholic priest. That Catholic priest promised to help her. And here we are, 14 years later. She built a school in Kathmandu. She built accommodation for the children, and she saved over 700 of the children from the village. And now they have a future. I support that. I support that because it selfishly makes me feel good because I'm doing something positive for someone other than myself. And that documentary was a big turning point in my life about how I wanted to live and how I wanted to do something other than making money. Because making money is quite boring when you start to make it. Chasing after success, building something is awesome fun. It really is so much fun. But once you start to make the money, you realize you don't need the money. And when you just are building for yourself and you're doing something for yourself, it can become a bit soulless. But when you live in service of others, it gives meaning to life. Whatever your choice is, it gives meaning to life, and it enables you to create memories and feel good about yourself.
I think there's just so much to take from that. I sort of want to get into this stuff that gurus talk about, abundance and opening doors for yourself and all of this. Is there a part of you that believes that your businesses do well because you do this work?
No, businesses do well because you work really hard. Businesses succeed because you work really hard. The next level of the business is to use the business to service, serve, help, and guide others. And if you can do that, then I think it's a kind of pay it forward type of thing that always comes back with karma on your side.
What if I believe that businesses do well when you serve in the service of others? Because there are a lot of people that would love to do well in business, that work very hard, that just don't get the opportunity. And what if the karma that you're speaking of is you continue
A lot of people want to do well in business.
And they don't get the opportunity.
No. Don't create the opportunity. Change the word. Change the word.
No.
They don't make the opportunity. They're not victims. I'm sorry, they're not victims. I met one of South Africa's Entrepreneurs of the Year in Soweto, okay? And he made a business selling quarters, okay? You know the bread?
Yes, of course.
He won the Parmalat Entrepreneur of the Year in South Africa many years ago. He was a guest on my podcast. I don't buy. I don't care where you're from. I lived in the third world. I lived around poverty. I've lived in 10 countries. I don't buy it. You don't want to make it, that's fine.
But don't say that.
You dare have that language that you use. No one's giving me the opportunity. The opportunity's not here. What's going to be the outcome?
Where do you get this Nigerian aggression that propels one to succeed? Because the more you speak, the more you sound like a Nigerian evangelist to me. You know, every time you say these things, I'm like, is he a Nigerian pastor? Because the way you're speaking is, there's a Nigerian pastor that I listen to, she's female in Nigeria, and she's not married and she's become very successful. And when you listen to her, you can tell that this woman created a success. And she says, you don't need a man, and that's the vigor I get. Where do you get it from?
55 years old, I've seen a lot. I understand a lot. I never would buy into, if you said to me, I can't do something, okay, I would want you to reframe that, okay, to I haven't done it yet. Because I can't is, what is it? It's just a cop-out. You're just using words to justify your desire not to do something. And it's hocus pocus. You got people that have created billions and billions of dollars in business, and you can't do it. In every country, every single country. What's the poorest country in the world? I don't know what it is. What's the poorest country in the world? It'll be one of the African countries, I'm sure. Really, really poor country. Malawi, maybe.
Zambia.
Yeah, maybe. And it's like there's millionaires in Malawi.
And billionaires.
And billionaires. Bolivia, Paraguay, Central American countries.
Are you Christian?
Huh?
Are you Christian?
No.
What do you believe?
I don't believe in God.
But what do you believe in?
I believe in the power of positive thinking.
I mean, you're talking, let's talk to somebody in Malawi who's watching. And I do have viewers from Malawi who's saying, I hear, and I'm going to phrase it from their perspective. I'm not trying to be funny or anything. I hear this white man speaking, but does he know that I don't have electricity? Does he know that I'm in a hut?
Yeah.
Does he know that I had to go to town to watch this episode and I have to go back to the hut without electricity?
Yeah.
And this white man is saying to me, I can become successful and a billionaire. Through what? Where? How? When?
But all you have to do is copy the people that did. Copy the man that became successful, that was born in the hut, that walked to town to get stuff. Copy the man that made... In every town, there is a successful person, yeah? That started where they started. Mm-hmm. You don't have to be Bill Gates. You could be the person that made... Go and copy them. Oh, it's not possible around. Well, why was it possible for other people then? Why was it possible from other people from your village to create a modicum of success? How was that possible? Oh, you don't understand. If you feed yourself enough negative self-talk, you will believe it. So stop feeding yourself the negative self-talk. Start feeding yourself positive self-talk. Everybody has access to information today. When I was a kid, we didn't. We would go to the library if it was open. We had 4 TV channels. They went off at midnight. We had no internet. We had no YouTube. We had no podcasts. We had no content being created. You live in a world where you can access it. You're choosing not to believe it. Okay, make your choice. If you come from a mud hut in Malawi and there's somebody else in that local area within 10 kilometers or 20 kilometers of you that's made it, how did he make it? What, did he get luck? He found a problem, found a solution, tried to make some money doing it. The level of success someone has is all based around where they are and where they're from. If success means $100 to some people, or $1,000 to other, or $1 million to other, that's fine. Not everybody has to be going to be a billionaire or a millionaire. It doesn't matter. Success. Because success is like really addictive. It feels really good. And when it feels really good, it only makes you want to do it more. So you have to start with your small wins and celebrate those wins. And remember, I've got to win. Okay, rather than, yeah, okay, I've got to win. Doesn't matter what it is. Get to the end of every day and write down what you've achieved that day. Just write it down on a notepad. I achieved this today, okay? Give yourself a high five. Next day, what did I achieve this day? Next day, what did I achieve? Making $1 million is what $1 million over the course of a year is $83,333 a month. That's $21,000 a week. That's $4,000 a day, 5 days a week. $3,000 a day, 7 days a week. So you've got to make $3,000 a day. You've got 24 hours. Take off 6 hours for sleeping. You've got 18 hours. So take off another hour for eating and showering and stuff. You've got 17 hours to go and make $3,000 in a day. Oh, but I only sell something that charges $10. Okay, stop selling it. Sell something that you can make $3,000 from. There's loads of stuff online you can sell for $3,000. Oh, but I can't. No, you can. You're choosing not to. Get out of your own way. Stop telling yourself what's not possible and start telling yourself what you can do. Doesn't matter what your education is. If you can read and write, you can do it. Arguably, there are people that can't read and write that still do it because they're so determined and they're so focused, okay, and they're prepared to put the hours in. You can make $1 million in a year. It's not difficult. If I said to you, you've got to go and find something to sell for $3,000, and you've got to sell one of those a day, or something to sell for $1,500, you've got to sell 2 of those a day, or something for $10,000, you've got to sell 1 every 3 days, let's work out how many prospects we need to make the sale. Let's work out how many suspects we need to make a prospect. Let's work out those numbers. Once we work it out, then let's say, what's our battle plan to be able to go and find those people? And then you put the battle plan together and you're relentless. You're relentless as hell. You go as hard as you can. And no matter what anyone says, no matter who complains, your wife says, oh, don't do that. Okay, your brother, your sister, your mum, your dad, your local village elder. Okay, just do it. And stop making excuses. There is too many examples of success for you to make. You give no right to make an excuse. Oh, my situation was tough. No, it wasn't. There's people that had it tougher than you. I spent my time in a village where every 8-year-old girl was forced into being a prostitute, raped. And I've got girls in that village that have gone on to do great things. They work in banks, they work as nurses. After all they went through, everyone's got a version of tough. Everyone's had hardship. If you're going to be defined by that, then you'll never become anything.
Let's talk about your habits, because I can tell that you've built a life of great resilience. What are your 5 habits that have truly transformed your life?
5? Crikey. I wake up at 4:20 every morning.
4:20?
I go to the
Why
gym.
that time?
Because that's what I do, because I'm a morning person.
Oh, people in Dubai start their day very late. Why 4:20? I mean, that's in South Africa, your time would be 3:30 a.m.
So 4:20 I wake up. I'm in the gym 5 till 6 because I need that for my mental conditioning. I need to work out for an hour.
What do you mean by mental conditioning? Are you just working out? Is it something you're listening to?
I am on fire after the gym. I am 30 to 40% less effective without the gym.
So after the gym, you're on fire.
Gets me fired up, yeah. Like it brings the energy, the blood flows. Okay, I work out for an hour and then I leave the gym and I'm like, right, I'm ready to take on the day. Let's do
At
this.
6?
Yeah, so I'm in the office just before 7, yeah.
Whew, must be tough working with you.
Why?
People in Dubai get to the office at 9, 10.
I was having dinner last night with a very successful businessman. He's 74 years old that's in the office at 6 every morning. He wakes up at 4, goes for a walk, has a shower and his breakfast at 5 and is in the office for 6. What do you mean? What are you talking about, these people in Dubai? What do you think? The people in Dubai just partying and having a good old time?
No, but I mean, the majority of the people in Dubai start their day very late.
I've been here 21 years. How long have you been here? So arguably I know more people than you.
Of course.
So you're wrong.
But gym's open at 6 a.m. here.
Gym's open at 5. Some are 24 hours a day. My gym opens at 5. 24-hour fitness, The clue's in the title.
Of course, yeah. But there are many that open at 24. So you're in the gym at 4:20 a.m. in the morning?
No, I wake up at 4:20
a.m.
I'm in the gym at 5.
Out at 6. Tell me then what happens at 6?
I go to work.
And then?
Grab a coffee, get my day started before everybody else does, get my emails done, get all my preparation done for the day, and we have our first meetings from 8 o'clock onwards in the morning. And every day we train. So we train every day. I train the staff every day. Every day, 8 till 9, we have a training session.
And what are you training them on?
Depends on what we need to be training them on.
Every day you train
every day, because I've got wealth managers working in the DIFC, I've got the insurance brokers working in the insurance business.
How many staff members do you now have?
100.
Sure. And I say that because I've had businesses where I had 30 staff members and I thought this is too much for me. 100, your brain must never switch off.
Well, there's people that lead the business as well. I've got a great COO. I've got other leaders in the business, and I'm not very good at everything, and I'm highly aware that I'm not good at lots of things. So I lean into what I'm good at. Let's say you're good at IT and he's good at finance, and somebody else is good at legal stuff. I don't get involved. That's your bag. That's your job. I trust you. Crack on and get that bit done, and so on and so forth for the others. So I don't try and be good at the areas that I'm not good at.
Let's talk about the mid-size business. I've got a lot of people that watch this podcast that are in the mid-size. Just not a small business, but not a big business either.
That's me.
Oh, well, I think you're a big business by many standards in the UAE, but okay, we could for the sake of humility maybe, but I think you're a very big business. So let's talk about the very small, the man who's got, 20 employees, the man who's got, 30 employees, and they're sort of running a business. How do they sort of scale up to the big business realm where they're now pushing to now above 50 and sort of growing and expanding?
The number of employees in a business doesn't define the profitability of a business.
Of course.
So I think that it's really...
We can call it turnover if we want to.
Yeah, I think it's better to consider turnover and net profits. I don't believe that turnover is that as important as what are your net profits. Okay. To me,
now that changes the conversation.
Everything. And if I could run my business with no staff or with AI, I'd be eternally profitable.
Yeah.
But I can't. So that's not even an option right now. So I'm looking at making the most profit margin I can, which means then, if one guy's doing 100 million, another guy's doing 200 million in revenue, but the guy doing 100 million is more profitable than the 200 million guy, I want to be the 100 guy. Okay, I don't need vanity metrics. For me, that's not relevant. What's relevant for me? I turn over this much. We generate this much revenue. Who cares what you generate? How much do you keep? We could generate $1 billion worth of revenue, and 99.99% of it could be on costs. Whoop-de-doo. I've got 100 million in it. I love all these 9-figure entrepreneurs and shut up. Honestly, how much money went in your actual bank account last year? Because the rest of it's nonsense. And so people go on about, I'm a 9-figure, I'm a 10-figure, I'm a 7-figure. It's like, who cares? No one cares. Okay. So when you've got a guy that's turning over whatever it is, $1 million a year, how does that person scale? I think that's the question.
Yeah.
And I think that the way you...
Well, I think even before that question, what you've just said is such an important masterclass before the question to say one should look at their balance sheet at the end of the day, should look at the profit. And brilliant, but yes.
Yeah, it's the only one that matters, because anyone who buys your company in the future, anyone who buys your company in the future, they only care about how much profit you're making. They want to work out, what's your profit margin and can they extract more?
I think I need to deregister my MBA as we're speaking, because what you're saying goes against everything my MBA lecture's teaching.
It's just a lot of nonsense out there, isn't there? Dragon's Den is or Shark Tank's a great TV show for like the real world to understand. I value my company at $1 million and I want $100,000 to give 10% away. And the best one of them all is on the UK Dragon's Den. His name's Tuka Sullivan, and he's like, so... $100,000, $1 million is your value of your business. Yeah, okay, fine. And how much money did you make this year? Oh, we made $50,000. And you value it at $1 million, do you? And the guy goes, yeah, well, what I think it could be worth in the future. Oh, so you want me to invest in your business today, okay, based upon a valuation you put on it 4 years down the road? Yeah, that's what I'd like to do. Because we've spoken to the VC people and they've told KPMG, and Tuka Sullivan sits there and goes, you're talking nonsense. I'm going to give you my money today on today's value. And today is worth nothing. So I think that it's a lot of the time, people need to look at that. But I think if you want to scale, so I like the idea of scaling. I like the building phase in business. So for me, it's like, what's your goal? I always start with a goal. In 36 months, in 24 months, what is my actual goal? Okay, and what of that goal, okay, is negotiable and what's non-negotiable? And then lean into the bits that are non-negotiable. So let's say you want to go from, I don't know, 5 million turnover to 50 million turnover. Okay, well, first of all, how are you going to do it? What's the plan to get there? What are the steps we're going to take? How much money do you need? Do you need outside investment to be able to do that, or can you do it from cash flow? Are you willing to sacrifice profit, okay, so that you can grow the business? How many people will you need to do that? Where can you save money? Where can you be more cost effective? Where can you look at technology replacing things, okay, so that you can keep that scale going? There's all these questions you have to ask. And when you write a plan, obviously the plan changes along the way. But if you've got a plan that's aligned with a goal, and the goal is a non-negotiable. It has to be non-negotiable. It can't be an idea, a wish. It can't be me and you go, yeah, let's do 50 million in 3 years' time. Yeah, what do you reckon? Yeah, let's have some champagne. Yeah. No. Okay? It's like, I'm going to die. Otherwise, I'm going to get it.
I wish I could tell you my goal, but it has nothing to do with what you do.
Yes, if you and I were business partners, it's like we would have to be so aligned.
Yeah.
Okay. We're so clear on what we want by a certain date and how it's going to be executed, and we must be reviewing it every month. And it's like, no, mate, we've got to work 7 days a week for the next 3 years. 20 hours a day for the next 3 years. That's what we've got to do if we want to get there.
Okay, calm down.
Okay?
20 hours
it's going to
a
hurt.
bit much.
It's going to hurt, yeah? It's going to hurt. But, okay, we'll both be billionaires in 3 years' time. You up for it?
Did you mean that 20 hours?
Let's say it was 20 hours a day for the next 3 years, but we'll both be billionaires in 3 years' time. Would you be up for it?
I don't care about the billionaires. For me, it's about reaching the goal.
But the goal is to be billionaires. In this example.
Yeah, but then, in the example, I would take maybe the 18 hours. But the goal doesn't have to be the billionaires.
So we're negotiating.
And that's where
I'm
seeing it exactly.
We can't be in negotiation. We have to be absolutely aligned.
And if there's no absolute alignment, you wouldn't go in?
We change the goal till we get aligned.
So you'd reduce the goal.
Change the goal,
Yeah.
whatever it may be.
That's
Again, it's all hypothetical, but whatever the goal is, you and I, as the owners of the company,
You'd
have
look
to
for the
be
non-negotiable.
absolutely aligned. So it then becomes a non-negotiable. Because when it's a non-negotiable, we hold each other accountable, okay? And we do our absolute darndest. We work as hard. And so if I want to send you a message at 9 p.m. on a Sunday night, okay, I know you're going to respond. Or if you want to get hold of me at 6 p.m. on a Saturday night, then I'm going to be around. Because we are so aligned and we know what we want to achieve, and we're going to do everything in our power to get there.
So profound. I mean, that's a brilliant way of thinking. This has just been such a powerful interview. And I think from what I'm sort of getting from you, so many gems. But I want to talk about Dubai as well, because I think a lot of people look at UK people coming to Dubai. We've got everybody coming to Dubai, but I think there's a big chunk from the UK, and they're looking to people like you to say, how do we sort of become like Spence? How do we get in there and, become big in the UAE? And they have deep questions. I mean, when we did our research, we sort of realized that a lot of them have got questions that no one really can answer because they're coming with the UK mentality. But I sort of want you to break it down to say, what is the difference between succeeding here and succeeding there in the business sphere?
The UK and Dubai?
Yeah.
What's the difference?
That's the question.
There isn't one. What do you mean there's a difference?
A lot of people want to move from the UK to Dubai because they believe there's a difference.
No, they don't. They believe they don't have to pay income tax.
Well, they also believe safety. They believe there's so many other things, but they do believe fundamentally business is easier.
But 9 times out of 10, it's my government shit. Okay, I'm going to move somewhere where the government's better, and I don't have to pay income tax, so I can have more of my money to use myself.
You think that's it?
That's where it starts.
And let's talk about a bit more. Sell me Dubai, if I could put it that way, because a lot of people are selling Dubai.
Yeah, well, again, at the end of the day, you want to be really real about Dubai. Okay, so Dubai is a monarchy. Okay, it's not a democracy. So the leadership say something, and that's the rule. That gives clarity to people.
I wouldn't agree to say the leadership says something, that's the rule. The leadership watches and observes and listens, and then takes feedback and decides what the best option is to rule. Very important to put it that way. Because if that was the case, nobody would be moving here. If the leadership just decided what to do, no one would move here.
No, well, okay, well, maybe you're misunderstanding what I'm saying. The leadership make up the rules.
The leadership observes.
No, they don't. They make up the rules. They always
first
have.
start by
They make
observing.
up the rules, okay? Of course, everyone observes to make sure they make up the right rules, but they make up the rules. Whichever way they're made up, we have to follow them.
Not in Dubai, though.
Yes, in Dubai.
No.
We have to follow the rules.
We do have to follow the rules, but I don't disagree. I disagree with the rules of Islam say during Ramadan, no alcohol should be sold. That's the rules. The leadership looks at what is the population that is celebrating Ramadan? Okay, they're those that are still drinking. Don't shut them down, but allow for the respect to happen. That for me is a different sort of Saudi Arabia, no alcohol at all. No, that's leadership makes the room. That's monarchy for me. Here, it's an observation, and the rules are made after the observation, or else we wouldn't be talking alcohol during Ramadan.
Well, first of all, the Quran doesn't say it shouldn't be sold. It said it shouldn't be consumed.
I'm aware, but that's what I'm saying here. Here, though, not in Saudi.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, the government make up the rules based on how much. Why do they sell alcohol in Ramadan?
And maybe
why do they sell alcohol in Ramadan?
But hold on.
And they always have.
Maybe let me put it in this way. I'm from Africa, where we have monarchs, right? And the same monarchs that exist here exist in Africa, except they don't make the rules based on that rule. And I think that's important because I've seen both, right? The king can say that all men should, it's a suggestion based on observation. It never works. Whereas here, it's not that the king is sitting down and we've got kings in Africa that have many wives and much wealth. They do not work the way the kings work here. They make the rules without the observation, which is completely different. And I think in London,
you're splitting hairs because I'm not suggesting for 1 minute they don't think about it before they do it. What I'm trying to say is, if you'd have let me finish before, is to compare that to the UK, where we have a democracy, and in that democracy, you have two parties that are spending their times telling you lies so that you vote for them, only then once you've voted for them to not keep their word about what they would say and make the situation worse. Over here, they make the rules, you follow them. I like that. I like when they said, you're not leaving your house, it's COVID, so stay home. Everyone went. And when they said, okay, you can go out now, everyone went, okay. Nobody went, like they did in England, walking around the streets going, this is shit, I'm not doing that. How dare you tell me to do that? All that kind of stuff. So I've been, after 21 years of being here, okay, the rules are the rules, we accept the rules, and because we're clear on what the rules are, and I've never talked politics here, because there aren't any, and I love that. The Americans tried to implement democracy into the Middle East through Libya, through Egypt, through Syria, and they don't want it over here. It doesn't work. And the fact is, democracy doesn't even work in America. And so why would you try and force it on others when it doesn't even work in your own country? And so I find that quite interesting as an observation. Stop thinking about Dubai as a city and the UAE as a country. Start looking at it as a business. So in Dubai, Sheikh Mohammed is the CEO or the chairman. Let's call him the chairman. And his son, the Crown Prince Fazza, okay, is the CEO. So they're the heads of our business. Okay. Now they've got this company that they want to be really successful. Okay, and there's loads of contractors that can get an opportunity within that business, and those contractors can come from all over the world, and they can help make this country great. That's what Dubai is. That's different to everywhere else. It's a business with a business mindset, very much modelled on many of the advantages of Singapore, but it has a business mindset. So they say to themselves, how do we make more money? Okay, well, tourism, we need to get that because we haven't got much oil. Okay, tourism comes in. Oh, but tourists from around the world, they like to drink alcohol. Okay, we better make sure they've got some alcohol, otherwise the tourists won't come and they won't spend their money. So that's why we'll put the alcohol there. That's why they have it, yeah? Exactly. And then they're like, you know what, well, Ramadan is a holy month, but it's holy for us, but not everyone's Muslim, exactly. Not everyone's Muslim. So let's make sure. And I've been here 21 years. It's becoming less and less different during that period. And my Muslim friends are like, well, why would we expect you not to eat if you're Christian?
Yes, yeah.
Did you ask us to give something up for Lent? No. Okay. And so from that point of view, this is our relationship with our God, which we will focus on ourselves. If you want to have a bag of chips, go and have a bag of chips,
Yeah.
Which is actually the right way of doing it.
Yeah.
Dubai has structured itself in such a way where no income tax means it's easier for people to, but they do have tax. It's a toll tax.
Yeah.
So you pay for everything you use. And so
you pay for not contributing to the earth. That's the way I see it. If you walk, you don't have to pay.
Yeah. Okay.
So you're damaging the ozone layer.
The government says medical isn't free. Pay for it. So either get insurance or pay for it. You've got to pay for everything. There's a tax on everything you buy. It's not a cheap place to be. So toll tax exists. There's corporation tax. I think income tax will come here.
Yeah.
Okay. And Oman has just announced it. So next year they will have it. And I think it will come here. And maybe it'll be 5 or 10%. And I think just like Singapore, they have it. But it's a place to come and build businesses because they work. They've used technology to be really efficient. 21 years ago, the bureaucracy here was quite difficult. Okay. Now it's not. It's like you can set a business up on your phone.
Yeah.
You could sit in Starbucks
and set up a business
and set a company up on your phone, okay, and be done in a couple of hours. You can run that business. You can open bank accounts. You can find clients. There's all the stuff you do. But again, come here with that mentality. Come here with the mindset of I can do, I will do, okay, and it's done. Imagine coming here from any country and saying, well, I can't do this, I can't do that, it's really shit, it's not the same as where I came from, a little challenging. What would happen? Okay, you wouldn't do very well. So Dubai doesn't take prisoners. The other thing is, if you don't work, there's no unemployment benefit. There's no housing benefit.
Whether you're a lion or a gazelle, when you wake up, you better run.
Yeah, you got to eat, so you better go and find some meat.
I mean, that's the word of the ruler.
That's right, absolutely. And I love that, because then you don't have people walking around in society here going, oh, things are a bit tough, aren't they? I'm a bit
my
strong.
401k.
Yeah, well, the company are really mean to me. It's like, no, go get a job. Otherwise, leave. They're your choices. And I think that's pretty cool.
I do want to sort of end off on this note to say there's a beautiful stance of entrepreneurs in Dubai really being healthy. And you've just did a 10K run, which is really phenomenal. But I want to sort of ask and say, why do you believe that is? Because everybody else sort of growing a potbelly everywhere else, right? And they're all looking for the latest Ozempic and everything else. But you come to the UAE and the gyms are full. And, when I first got here to the gym and I bumped into somebody, they were like, oh, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm from Russia. Oh, I'm a billionaire. I'm thinking, why is the Telegram CEO training as hard as me, And I think that because in the rest of the world, the man who's running Telegram-like company has a pot belly, Why do you believe it's different here?
I think it's stereotyping. That's a bit unfair. But I think the world is trying to get healthier. I mean, you see in the UK, alcohol consumption is at all-time lows. Bars and nightclubs are closing at a great rate because people are living a different life. Before COVID, there were lots of shops that sold neckties. Now it's very hard to buy a necktie in Dubai, because people aren't wearing ties like they used to. And so what you've got is, I think, an evolution. And when we really try and understand it, I think that young people want to live a life different to the generation before them. And I think that's something that's happening around the world rather than here. I think it's highlighted more here compared to the UK, because we live outdoors. And because we live outdoors a lot of the time, you see that much more. But I celebrate that anywhere. People wanting to go to the gym or wanting to exercise or hike or whatever it may be and live a healthier life, brilliant. I haven't drunk for 12 years, and you'll never, ever regret giving up drinking.
Definitely, I definitely agree with that one. In terms of the 5 people that have really shaped your life, the 5 influential people, who are they? I'll also ask about podcasts, so if they are podcasters, do include them.
My mum, Tony Robbins.
Oh, he's amazing. Unleash the Power Within?
Yeah, I've been to everything.
Oh, my God.
He was on the podcast.
Oh, my God. I didn't see that.
You didn't look hard enough.
Oof. Okay. It's bad on me. I'll take that one.
Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning. His book really meant something to me.
Yeah, the Holocaust. Yeah. That's quite brilliant.
So what have we got? My mum, Tony Robbins, Viktor Frankl, David Schillingus, who taught me how to sell.
Don't know him, I'll check him out.
You won't. He just taught me how to sell. He's a very special person in my life.
Oh, he's not.
My first boss, Eric Pomfret, who gave me significance and recognition and enabled me to find a place that I belonged after being at school for many years and bullied. So they were the 5, I would say.
I mean, I don't want to ask the next question. I want to unpack some of them. What did David teach you? Because you said I'm not going to find him.
David taught me how to sell. He was the guy that made me do 100 cold calls every day, and he taught me how to sell. We did training in the office at 6:30 a.m., was training in London, till 8:30 a.m. Monday to Friday. So we had to be at work at 6:15 in the morning in London. And he did the training.
This is why you're hard.
And he was the guy that taught me. And I'll never forget what he taught me. He was brilliant.
How are you going to teach young people to wake up early? Let's talk about it. Because I think your generation...
You've got an issue with it, haven't you?
But that's the truth. They're not waking up at 4 a.m. and 5 o'clock in the morning. They're just not doing it.
They do.
No, it is your generation that's doing it. The majority of young people are waking up at 6. It's even worse. In Africa, maybe, because they have to commute.
You are in some little shell of a thing, something going on.
Definitely not.
You don't know that. I've been here 21 years. I meet people all the time.
But I'm a young person who meets other young people. They're not waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning.
I have people at my office every day at 7 o'clock. Young people.
I think because you're living in a high disciplined world where you've had to influence people, you're not seeing the majority of young people.
No, bums are never going to get up early, are they? But they're not, are they? Lazy bums are never going to get up early.
So what time should a young person...
I don't know any of those, though.
What time should a young person be getting up in the morning?
What time should people get up in the morning?
Yeah.
Well, I don't care if you get up at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock. I'm a morning person, so I get a lot more done. That's what works for me. Some people are really powerful at midnight, whereas I'm zonked out and dead to the world. So I'm not suggesting everyone has to get up at the same time as me.
Do you think that's true, though? Is that not an excuse, the midnight? I mean, I've seen a lot of young people say they're midnight people, but what they mean is that they're playing a game in the midnight. That doesn't make sense.
No, I know some people in business that their creative time is 11 o'clock onwards.
Whereas during the day, it's not.
Yeah. I actually know these people, and I get it. My wife thinks I'm weird because she goes to bed late and I go to bed early. And I'm like, well, what goes on after 9 o'clock that's worth knowing? What is happening after 9 o'clock at night that's worth being? Nothing I know. It's dark. What's going on? I don't go to clubs. I don't go to bars. So, networking can take place during the day. I can meet valuable people during the day. And what am I doing here? I'm sitting here with you on a Sunday afternoon doing a bloody podcast.
Let me stop abusing your time and ask the signature questions. So we've got 10 signature questions.
You got more? How much of my time have you had?
Very quickly.
Man.
If your life was a book, what would be the title?
If my life was a book, what would be? That's a great question. Of course. If my life was a book, what would it be? It would be called Making It Happen, the ultimate guide to sales success.
Wow.
Because I wrote a book called that.
What is the... Don't do that.
I did. You don't even know. You got me on your show. How much research have you done on me?
I did a lot of research on you.
Yeah, really?
No, but
really?
There's a science.
You didn't know write a book?
There's a science towards this. And let me explain the science. I have to explain the science. I had an argument with somebody and I said, what's the best way to ask podcast questions? I need to express this. So what I do is I look at what have you built and I try and figure out what made you build it. The problem with doing over too much research is that when you react, I already know. So my brain will lead me to the second question. So I've learned the difference between if I knew too much about you, I would put you on a place where you might not be at the current moment because of history. But that's not the signature question. What is the one thing that you used to believe strongly that you've completely changed your mind about today?
What did I used to believe that I've changed my mind? What, about business?
Anything.
I don't think I've ever changed my mind about business. I used to not think that technology was as relevant as it was. I used to think that whilst it was relevant, it wasn't that powerful that it would stop your business growing. But since I've learned and invested time in understanding AI, there is some profoundly different benefits to AI than I ever saw through my first iteration of the internet. That literally many parts of what I do can be replaced in a really cool and smart way. And I didn't believe that, but I do believe that now.
Profound. If you could sit down for 1 hour dinner with any idol, whether they're dead or alive, who would it be? And what's the first question you'd ask them?
My daughters. What do you want to eat? Because they're the most important people to me.
So profound. If you could go back to the 23-year-old version of yourself in Bangkok, what is the one piece of no-fluff advice you would give him?
Save and invest 50% of every penny you earn, and do not negotiate with it.
What is the most rewarding yes that you've ever said that had absolutely nothing to do with your business?
To helping the children, saying yes to helping the children, saying yes to making the documentary. That was probably one of the most significant things that have ever happened in my whole life, regardless of anything relating to business.
So before I ask the last question, we have a challenge on this podcast. So I run the Mpho Foundation in South Africa.
The what?
Mpho Foundation. My name is Mpho. And this foundation...
Mpho
D.
And the foundation does what?
We help young orphans. We take them to school. We give them free educational material. And the one challenge we give to any entrepreneur is you have to decide the amount you want to donate. But you have to give us a challenge to say, if this podcast reaches so many lives, so many views, and we specifically cater this to you because you're in podcasting, you'll make a donation to the foundation. So what's the challenge you're giving us as an editing team and as a podcast?
What's the most downloads you've had on an episode?
I think we've had 62 downloads.
Podcast downloads, yeah.
Not
on
views.
Spotify and
okay.
and
no views.
Apple.
So views. We're currently not doing Spotify and Apple.
Okay, you do YouTube.
Yeah.
Okay, so how many subscribers have you got?
105,000 subscribers.
Okay, and what's the episode with the most views?
62,000.
62,000 is the most views.
Yeah.
Okay. And so
all organic views and all real views. I need to put that out. Lots of bots out there. So we need the challenge and the amount you donate. If we reach the challenge, of course.
Yeah, here's your challenge. You have to go through all of my episodes, and there's 400 of them, and you have to choose 5 guests that have been on the podcast that I introduced to you to get on your podcast. And you have to get them to come and film it.
Okay.
And I'll give you $10,000.
Wow. I'll definitely do that for that challenge, and the kids will definitely appreciate that.
Is that fair?
That's very fair. Very, very fair. Thank you for the challenge. And the last question is, if you were to encourage people for the last time before you go to heaven, or we usually say go to heaven, look into the camera and give a 2-minute motivational speech as your last speech you'll ever give.
Before I go to heaven?
Before you pass on, yeah.
Crikey.
2 minutes starts.
2 minutes to talk to you about my life and what you should be doing with your life before I go to heaven. It's quite a powerful thing to say, isn't it? I think the first thing to remember, the most important thing that everyone needs to make sure they do in life is to be kind. Try it and be kind to people. It doesn't cost anything, and you both win, because when you're kind to somebody, it makes them happy, and when you're kind to somebody, it makes you happy too. So make sure whatever you do, you focus on being kind. Also, remember that I came from nothing, and whilst you might have come from nothing, remember the stories that have been created in your mind don't necessarily represent the truth. The truth is, anybody can have success. The reality is, most people choose not to pursue it. So if you want to be somebody, you can be whoever you want to be. Nothing's going to stop you, apart from the stories that you tell yourself each and every day. So remember to get rid of those stories and start believing in yourself more. I had a tough childhood. I was bullied quite badly, but I learned skills and tools that I then could deploy in business to make some money. Don't ever let anybody tell you you can't be who you want to be. I don't care, mum, dad, brother, sister, boss. Don't let anyone. And lastly, stay well away from negative people. They're poison in your head, and you can't be near them. Change your friendship groups, change your social circles when you've got negative people around you. They will slowly, subconsciously try and convince you that their idea of what can't happen is more important than your idea of what can happen. And while I'm up on the cloud with my wings on, looking down on you, you better follow my instructions because I'm watching.